What up, guys? This is Coach Vassar with OTF Audio Daily Beats. Thank you for tuning in. Listen to me ramble about these workouts. As always, if you're new to these, appreciate you for being here. If you find value in them, information and description on how to support me, just buy me a coffee. Of course, you don't have to, but if you do, I greatly appreciate that. And don't do it until you find value in them. We're going to go over Tuesday, November 5th, which is also going to repeat on Thursday, November 21st. Do a little overview, break down the treads, the rower weight floor, any changes you'll see in the 3G. For this one, it is a full power day across the board, and it is also a switch template. So when we look at the key concepts, we're gonna see 4 tread blocks today. You'll knock out the first 2, switch, and then come back to the treads for the next 2. Block 1 is all about pushes and bases, and block 2, it's all about all outs. When you come back, you're gonna do the exact same thing again. It's an opportunity for set a strategy, and then can you match or beat it? For the rower, we're gonna see 2 row blocks today. We're looking for a 100-meter all-out row, and you wanna stay as close to that previous time as possible. You'll catch your breath with a dumbbell exercise. And then on the floor, we're gonna see 2 blocks with 2 movements each, and it's all about explosiveness, so you're gonna do load and explode. So when we look at the treadmills here, we're gonna be on the treads twice today. Each time you are on the treads, you'll see 2 blocks. Block 1 alternates between push and base. Block 2 is all outs and walk recoveries. So when we're looking at it, we're gonna see 45-second intervals in block 1 for the primer. Push, base, push, all out. Knowing that everything is 45 seconds, going into block 2, the all outs are also 45 seconds, but with increased walk recoveries. Looking at block 1 as an opportunity to prime the body. So we wanna maintain their push and their base and just get them used to adjusting their speed. So they recommend, of course, power walkers 8% or greater, joggers and runners. I'd put them more on that higher end of their push. So maybe about 1.2, 1.5 over their base. Bikes and striders, they'll probably be about 4 gears or more over their base gear. 45 seconds, they'll do that sequence twice, and then the third time, it's the push into the all out. They'll get a 90-second walk recovery before they move into block 2. And the goal here is to increase all out intensities as the walk recoveries get longer. So at the very least, whatever they did for their last all out or that last interval in block 1, start with that. And then they'll do a 45-second all out, 30-second walk recovery. I would coach them to maintain on the second all out because recovery is only 30 seconds. The second walk recovery is 45. So there is that possibility to increase on the third all out. After the third all out, it's a 1-minute walk recovery, and then they hit their final all out, which hopefully with that full minute of rest, they should do better. And that's the 2 tread blocks that they're gonna do. After they've completed that, they're gonna head to the weight floor. We'll talk about the weight floor later, but for now, once they've done the weight floor, they come back and they're gonna repeat blocks 1 and 2 as their 3rd and 4th block. Block 3 is labeled as a bonus because the body is already primed. So this is another opportunity to kind of get them moving again. Maybe they maintain from block 1 or treat this as, hey, it's a new time on the treadmill, new push, new base for you, and then finish with that all out. And just like in block 2 at the very beginning, whatever they did for that all out there, can they start with that and then maintain or increase during the final block on the treads as the walk recoveries go up. So it'll be the same sequence, 4 all outs with a 30, 45 second, and a 1-minute walk recovery after each one. Now, when we look at the weight floor, we're gonna see 2 floor specific blocks, the first and then the third one. This is load and explode. They're gonna have 2 movements done back to back. This is all lower body work as well. So we're gonna start off with a goblet step down or step out squat. They're gonna do 5 on one side, 5 on the other. So 10 total reps. Aim for a moderate to heavy weight. They're looking for 2 counts down, 2 counts up as they try to load up. Then they're going into the strap reverse lunge to single leg jump. Strap is obviously used for balance and stability. So if people want a challenge, they can do it without the strap. But the goal is to be explosive as they jump. They land soft and then do 5 on one side, 5 on the other. A great option for that is to do, if they have the benches out, have them do like step up to knee raises instead, rather than just jumping straight to like a squat as the option. Still work on that unilateral benefit. when we look at the third floor block, so this is after they come back to the treads and all that, the other load and explode is going to be dumbbell reverse lunges, followed by the lateral bound to single leg hop. So for the reverse lunge, they're doing 5 on each leg, dumbbell in each hand. Same option that I like to use is, of course, do weighted step ups. That way they still get that unilateral work. And then for the lateral bound to single leg hop, they start on their one foot, and the goal is to land on the opposite foot, and then that foot will then jump off of. That'll be 1 rep. They have 10 total there. Great option for this one, of course, is to use like lateral lunges into like a knee raise. They also recommend you could do like a sumo squat with an explosive tempo, because then they're going to get the stability work with the knee and the hip with that externally rotated position with that wider stance of the toes turned out. As far as the rowers go, 2 blocks, and they are going to be set up the same way. Just over 5 minutes. They want to use the stored program for the 100-meter all-out row, and your goal is to stay within 2 seconds of the previous row time. So they hit the row, 9, 10 out of 10 of leg drive, relatively high stroke rate if they're able to. Emphasize heel glued into the foot plate, so full foot drive back. Once they finish in that, check their time. They'll use dumbbells to recover, so take weights with them over to the rower, and they have 12 bicep curls. After the 12 bicep curls, they go right back on the rower, do it again. If they're not able to stay within 2 seconds, slow down the bicep curl, take them, remind them that they could rest a little bit before they hop back on that row and do it again. In the final block, the second row block, that's going to be the same setup, but instead of bicep curls, we're going to see 2 dumbbells with the overhead tricep extension. So for this one, definitely go a little bit lighter, because now once they're overhead, a little bit of stability work as they lower down, keeping those elbows in tight, and then extend back up. I'll see members who will try to do just 1 heavy dumbbell, but the whole point of this movement is active recovery, but also work on that shoulder stabilization. So by having 2 lighter dumbbells and then working on that overhead position, they'll get more out of that, and they can really work on range of motion. And that's the 2G. Now the 3G, it's been a very long time since we've done something like this, but it is a switch template between the treads and the rowers. So when you look at the template, you're actually gonna read it still top down, but also left to right. So for someone who starts on the treadmill, and they'll start on the top of the template, they're gonna do a tread block, a row block, a tread block, and that's their treadmill section. Then you'll rotate the row. They'll go to the rower. On the row block, so they'll do a row block, back to the treadmill, then back to the rower. And then they finish on the weight floor, and it's 1 long 14.5-minute block. So just be aware of that as you are rotating the treads and rowers between their 2 transitions. They only have 1 minute to go from the treadmill to the rower, or from the rower to the treadmill. When we look at the setups for this one, block 1 is similar to the 2G, but a little bit different, because we're actually going to increase the intensities as a way to get them ready for their second block when they're doing a completely different modality of movement. So for example, if they start on the treadmill, they're going to start with a 45-second base push, and then a 45-second push all out, and then the base, and then they go into an all out. So the push will eventually become a push all out, which will eventually become the all out, as a way to kind of look at it. So the intensity increases after each active recovery. After they finish that just under 4-minute block, they have a minute to go to the rower, and this is the exact same power block that we saw on the treadmill. Of course, if they're on the treadmill, now they're on the rower doing that. So they're going to do a 30-second or 45-second all-out row, and then a 30-second recovery row, and then 45 all-out, 45 recovery, 45 all-out, 1-minute recovery, and then finish with that final 45 all-out row. Wipe it down. They have 1 minute to get back to the treadmill, and then when they get back to the treadmill, they're going to repeat that block 1. So 45-second push, followed by a 45-second base, then a push all out, followed by a base, and then they finish with 1 more 45-second all out. Once they've completed that, that group will then go to the rowers to start, and then they're gonna repeat that primer block on the row. So they'll start with a 45-second push row, then a base row, then a push all out, then a base, and then they finish with that 45-second all out row. From there, they'll go to the treadmill, and then do the all outs and walk recoveries, but now they're on the treadmill, and then they come back and finish on the rower. This is one where, like I said, it's been a very, very long time since they've done that, but it's a great way to kind of break up the normal format of a 3G. So if you happen to have any classes that are running 3G that day, if you're able to take a class, like those are a lot of fun. And then when you're over on the weight floor, you just have one big block. So it's gonna be 14 minutes and 45 seconds, and we're gonna see all 3 of the pairs of exercises from the 2G. So you'll start off with a load and explode of the step out squat and the reverse lunge to single leg hop. You'll do 2 rounds. Then you're gonna do some bis and tris as you do the exercise movements from the 2G, so the dumbbell bicep curl, and then the 2 dumbbell overhead tricep extension. They'll do 10 reps of each for 2 rounds, and then they finish with the other load and explode, reverse lunge to the lateral bound to single leg hop, and same thing, 2 rounds. Once they finish that, they'll do their bonus, which is all exercises as one big block. And then for the finisher, they're doing the lateral bound to single leg hop. Big thing for this one is when it comes to the 3G for the setup, obviously you wanna have wipes out at the beginning. Remind members that they need to keep their wipes. They're in charge of grabbing new wipes as they need to. Also, transitions are only 1 minute, so they need to hustle quickly. When it comes to the 2G, you have 2 minutes to transition the room, so there's a little bit more leeway there as they go from like the treads to the floor, back to the treads, back to the floor. But for the 3G, you are on a true time crunch to get 2 groups of people to switch within 1 minute and then get that body moving and forecast. So that sense of urgency during the lobby, as well as during the warm up, so people have that idea and they know as soon as we're done, we are moving. And then when the people are on the weight floor, they got just under 15 minutes to move at their own pace. Check in with them constantly to make sure that they are maximizing explosiveness on that second movement of the load and explodes. And then for the bis and tris, that's their chance to kind of give their legs a break. So have them go slow, really make the moderate weight feel heavier, and emphasize control and range of motion. That's all I got for you guys for this one. As always, any feedback, let me know. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one. Coach it down.